Hello there, Shark Cuts. This is video 2 for Wednesday, January 24th. Price list will go out to my mailing list at 9 p.m. sharp on Wednesday evening. This list is hip hop and classic rock. So, yeah, pretty simple, really. Actually, no, there's some heavy metal in here too. Yeah, and some pop. So there you go. Hip hop, heavy metal, classic rock, and some pop. I'm going to do something unusual. I'm going to kick off with the hip hop piece because I love these two records and these are pretty interesting pressings. So here we have it. Look at these two. Czarface and MF Doom. The first record they did together, Metal Face, and then the second and the first of the posthumous MF Doom releases. This came out in 21, and MF Doom sadly passed away in 2020. This is Super What, which is my favorite of the two. I love them both, but this one in particular. So, who are Czarface and who was MF Doom? Well, Czarface were a rap group formed by a couple of, I guess, L7 and one other, I can't remember the name of the other, but most importantly, with Inspectah Deck from the Wu-Tang Clan. And they released in the early kind of 2010s 2 or 3 records that were really well regarded, and at least one a classic. And I've never been able to track down good pressings. I'm hoping Vinyl Me Please will tackle some Czarface at some point in the future. But these are 2 Newbury Comics presses. Now, Newbury Comics is an American label that is a comic label and a music retailer. And they make their own interesting pressings. And they specialize in the world where music and comics come together. So let me show you part of the reason why I love Super What. Now, firstly this is my copy. So these 2 are sealed. What I'm about to show you are my 2 copies. So really lovely, flat, nice sounding discs. In fact, you can see obviously this is kind of bright, translucent yellow. But the Metal Face disc is amazing. It's this. Look at this. It's like a orange and clear, transparent splatter. And it sounds fantastic. Just as a reminder, that's their debut album, 2018's Metal Face. But I want to show you partly why Newbury Comics are such an interesting label. So there's the sleeve, almost kind of comic book. Now, MF Doom had this kind of COD super villain persona. He would wear his earlier records from the 2000s. He had this persona. He would have this kind of almost frightening stage kind of get up. But he was a British American dude, amazing producer, all about wordplay, so funny. Following his lyrics on Spotify is a lot of fun. And you know, MF Doom and Inspectah Deck together is really, really fun. But look at this. So there's the sleeve. Inside is a limited edition comic that was commissioned for the record. And it's really, really good. I don't want to give the story away, but it also kind of folds. The record kind of sits in that inner sleeve. There's the last page. It's lovely. And really nice packages. They're really hard to get in Australia because of the import taxes. And Newbury Comics are pretty desirable. But there's 2 sealed versions of Czarface and MF Doom. If you like MF Doom, you could do no wrong in giving Operation Doomsday a listen. It's pretty fabulous. All right, now we've got some classic rock and pop and all sorts. What I've done with this list, there's nothing here. Oh, well, actually, there's one or two you'll go, what the hell? But what there is here are a lot of what I've learned over the years of doing this are just really good records on Japanese vinyl. I'm going to start with this. I don't get this very often. The Japanese first press of Prince's Purple Rain. Why? Because it's quite tightly held. People don't tend to let it go because it sounds wonderful. It's a very obviously a pop classic. The production isn't a deep quality production. It's pretty thin. So what you need when you've got a thin kind of sound like that is you need super quiet vinyl, and it's the attention to detail. You hear things in that pressing that you just don't hear in others. It is that simple. Now, this is one that I get very rarely because it's just too expensive to buy. And so therefore, the folks in Shibuya never put it in a box because they can get a shed load of money. For those of you who aren't aware how this works, I have a fixed amount that I pay every 2 weeks or so, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. I get a box. About 75 to 80% of it, I don't know what's in it. The remaining 20 to 25% are either things that I've requested or other club members have requested, and they find them and they will slip them to me. Now, a lot of it is that I don't get records that sit outside of my price range because I know what we can afford in this club, and I can't sit there and say I want every $120 kind of rarity. It just doesn't make any sense. So there's a balance to be struck. And this record is usually way too expensive for us. But here it is. Look at this. The Japanese first press of Eliminator with the obi and everything. I've never seen this. It's in majestic condition. Now, Japanese ZZ Top records are top notch. Really, really good. Eliminator, of course, being their blockbuster record. To me, not their best. I like their 70s blues persona more, so I like Tres Hombre and, Tejas and those records. But there is a time and a place for that synth-driven 80s tongue-in-cheek party ZZ Top that still have those crazy bluesy riffs underneath. They walked the wire and they did it really well. So there you go. Eliminator. Now, I get Queen quite regularly. The Works last week, if I'd had 10, I could have sold 10. I've got one more coming in a future box apparently because I emailed them, and it's a promo copy which they're raving about. They're like, we think we put it in by mistake. Well, I'll happily take it. But I've got two more. I've got Flash Gordon and I've got News of the World. Now, the Flash Gordon is pretty peachy. It's a Japanese first press. This is a first press as well, but you'll notice it's got a little bit of writing. So other than that, it is fantastic. Two great Queen records. Now, Queen on Japanese vinyl is interesting. A lot of people rave about the UK first presses of Queen. To be honest, I haven't heard any of those, so I can't give you a view. What I do know is that the Japanese presses absolutely murder the Aussie presses. They really do. It's not even close. There's a huge difference. They're really, really strong. Now, normally I lead off with Tom Waits, but I've had both of these records probably in the last 6 months or so. So I'm just going to note that I've got two really nice Swordfish trombones and Closing Time. Closing Time, Tom Waits' debut album. Certainly his most accessible in my ears. He's most kind of lounge lizardy, kind of late night, whiskey bar, getting drunk by the piano record. His voice had not developed that earthy, throaty, grunty, kind of almost beatboxy, voice that it became. It's a much more traditional instrument in Closing Time. Has some of his most beautiful songs, like Grapefruit Moon, Martha. I love it. Now, Swordfish Trombones is where his relationship with Kate Brennan, his wife, and still is very much his wife and muse, changed his life forever. And he became more avant-garde. He became more interested in rhythm and textures and not so much in kind of aural pleasure. It's a more idiosyncratic avant-garde mix, and it is, by my estimation, one of the greatest albums of the 80s. Swordfish Trombones, Rain Dogs, and Frank's Wild Years. There are not many that had a run of records as wonderful as those in the 80s. And that's the one that kicked off a new phase of Tom Waits' life. And I love it to bits. That's Swordfish Trombones. All right, we have 2 David Bowie classics from the 70s. Now, these 2 often vie for me to be his singular record. And I know that Hunky Dory and Ziggy Stardust have their place, and they are wonderful. I love them. My dog's called Bowie for a reason. My favourite Bowie record is honestly like choosing between Finbar and Eilish. But those 2 records, Station to Station, is clearly a crazy cocaine record. I mean, I know he was off his rocker, but the title track, the 10-minute Station to Station, is so good. Golden Years, one of his greatest ever singles. Word on a Wing, drama. TVC 15, like chunky noise. Wild is the Wind at the end. It's a fantastic record. And that is the Japanese first press as well. And then Low, the first of the Berlin trilogy. Low, then Heroes, then Lodger. In my mind, the ranking, Low, Lodger, then Heroes. Heroes, probably the greatest singular track, but for me, it's the least well-defined of the Berlin trilogy. This is the one, particularly side 1. Side 1 is the best side of music he ever put together. And I know side 2 is the Eno-driven kind of soundscapes and clattering noise and stuff. And there's still snippets of incredible melody and genius in there. But Low, wow. I'm just going to run through side 1. What you got? You've got Speed of Life, Breaking Glass, What in the World, Sound and Vision. Sound and Vision, what a single. His incredible vocal doesn't arrive until like over 2 minutes in, and it still works. It's just magical. Probably my favourite song on the record is Always Crashing in the Same Car, which is, by all accounts, a story of him, and I think Iggy Pop, careering around Berlin at night on some drug binge. It sounds crazy. Then you got the beautiful Be My Wife, and then finally a new career in a new town. What a side of music that is. Crazy, utterly crazy brilliant. David Bowie's Low. Japanese pressings from the 70s of Bowie are majestically good. Now, I don't know what the hell is happening here. How this appeared in my box, I do not know, but I suspect there might be someone out there who's about to see what I'm about to show them and is going to go, what? Oh dear. This is, I don't even know the name, Beast from the East by Dokken. Dokken being, D-O-K-K-E-N, being, apparently, I found out tonight, a metal band from, I think, LA. Think Motley Crue and Rat. So you're talking hair metal, babes and boobs and I don't know, hair, whatever. It's a double live album. What's really interesting, look at this. So obviously, Beast from the East, I think is some kind of a play on their previous record, which I think is called Blast in the Past, but it's got an Eastern kind of thing to it. You got the red sun of Japan there, and that kind of very Japanese kind of signature styling. What's deeply interesting though about this record was the controversy at the Grammys. So this was nominated for the Grammy for Best Metal, which are metal or hard rock, whatever the right equivalent is. Nominated in the same list was Mr. Chris Cornell, and he was not impressed, and he released a statement, either, I don't know, written or on an interview, I'm not quite sure, but it's widely reported that he said, how can Dokken and the work that I do be on the same list? And it's a good point, Mr. Cornell. They've never appeared on any Grammy since, even though they're still going strong. I played the first track. It sounds good in terms of how the record sounds. What I thought was interesting was it was a bigger sound. Certainly they're more thuggish sound than Motley Crue, who are not my favourite at all. But there you go. Interesting. Now we've got something I think pretty special. This you will all recognise as the Beatles' Help album. This is the first press on hard cardboard gatefold, which is actually really hard to find. And you've got that little, I love that little thing with the signatures and stuff like that. Really cool. A really hard, heavy gatefold. The back sleeve's wonderful. It's got this first press kind of inner, but more importantly, it's on red translucent vinyl, my friends. This is, if you're a Beatles fan, that is the one to have, my friends. Goes without saying, I've never had that before. A Japanese first press Help on red translucent vinyl. Nope, that's a new one on me. So there you go. I hope there's someone out there who's excited about that. They deserve to be. And then two records that I personally love that I think are great. Zenyatta Mondatta by The Police. The Police on Japanese vinyl are superb. And then finally, one of my favourite Neil Young records. And I'm pulling this out of the sleeve for a reason. I love this sleeve and it feels amazing. The Japanese first press of the utterly magnificent Zuma. Don't Cry No Tears, Barstool Blues, Stupid Girl, but most importantly, Cortez the Killer. What a song. The only way to end this list is to call out Neil Young for one of the greatest tracks of the 70s. And a really superb album as well. There you have it, my friends. We have hip-hop, pop, metal, and classic rock. Hopefully something there caught your eye. If so, like, comment, reach out to me. If you want to be on the mailing list, my email address or in the channel notes, send me a note. And thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic week. And I'll see you on Wednesday. But in between, I have a special video going out with some details on some t-shirts that I have for sale. All right. Thank you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.